Hey everybody, welcome back to the FastCharging Podcast with B&B, which I am reasonably confident is Brian and Bear, but...
Well,
Oh,
I
you
don't.
son of a...
No.
You old so-and-so. Bear's with me,
Well,
as usual.
hey everyone, how you doing?
What an exciting week. Anything happen in the news? I don't think there was any EV news this week, was there?
Nope, dead. Nothing happened.
No.
It was like the battery was not charged up.
It was very quiet. It was eternally quiet. Why don't we jump in with exciting EV news for absolutely everyone. ChargePoint and other EV charging stocks electrified by infrastructure bill. So this isn't the EV tax credit. This is good for everyone because it means there's going to be more chargers. House measure passed. $7.5 billion for building of electric vehicle chargers over 5 years, with the potential for additional funding, $5 billion of which for EV charging along highways, and another $2.5 billion for hydrogen fueling and infrastructure. What do you think, Bear?
That is pretty amazing. Well, apparently you had no sound.
Oh.
You were, but I think no, that was on my side again.
So in the
Yeah.
chat, everybody, can you hear us? Can you hear us?
Well, I need to know on my side if you can hear my stream. So someone say, yeah, I can hear Brian. Brian,
Okay.
I can hear Brian, but let's see if everyone else
We'll
can.
find out.
Waiting
We'll
for
find
some.
out.
We're about a 30-second delay.
Sure. So Mark, who, by the way, thanks for the super chat. Mark says, I bet Tesla builds more chargers. So the great news on that front is Tesla is already planning to triple the number of superchargers. And this will, maybe accelerate that, but it's definitely endless money to the bottom line. Tesla does have the two different factories where they manufacture the charging stations, one in Shanghai with a capacity of 10,000 stall units per year, which may be low because, Tesla in China tends to sandbag the numbers a bit. And they also make them in Giga, New York. But look at what it's done to the stock. Let's see. Well, we'll come to that in a second here. But like EVgo was just hovering at $10 a share, spiked to 17. Now it's at about $14.50. That would have been a hot stock to have a week ago if you plan to get rid of it today. I don't know. I'm sure it's still... I'm not saying there's a downside. I'm saying 50% in a week is quite a jump. And for that matter, ChargePoint did about the same. Hovering around 24, now trading around 25 to 30. It was, Interesting. I would have expected a bigger jump, but all right. It did jump to 28 briefly. Came back down a bit. Bear, you wanted to talk about...
Yeah.
Are you having
Yes,
trouble?
I do. I was adjusting your audio. I just got someone saying that, okay, it got louder, but I have you screaming in my ear, so it's awesome. But we'll figure that out some other time, and I'll just deal with the ringing in my ears at some other point. But yes.
That's what my wife says.
I bet she does. She never said it to me, though.
No.
It was just open. I had to take it. Yeah.
That's what your wife said.
Yes.
In
What
fairness,
goes around
by the
comes
way,
around.
Bear has met my wife, and I have not met yours. I don't know if she was home when I was there. I think she was...
I make her work. A lot.
Yeah.
So she was at work. She works like 13, 14-hour shifts.
Yikes.
With the drives. Yeah, she's a nurse. So
wow. That's right.
She works
you
long
did tell me
shifts.
that. So, the
All right.
tax credit?
EV tax credit, yes. And I've got that on here. EV tax credits. There was changes in this. And I'll tell you what, I'm not a big fan of them. And I'm sure that most Tesla people are not a fan of it. And I don't know who would be a fan of this. It's $12,500, and it's nearly impossible for any vehicle to actually get all of those tax credits. $12,500. There's a lot of things that you have to qualify for, and it's not you, the person. Well, yes, it is you, the person, because there's income limitations, but they're so high that 99% of the people are gonna fall into that. So that's not really an issue. The issue is the 12,500. If you are looking to buy a Tesla, you don't qualify for a bunch of this because it was tied into the UAW and a little bit of that. So the only I think only the Chevy Bolt EV and the EUV are going to qualify for most of the 12,500. A big portion of that, and we're talking $5,000, has to be from a unionized plant.
Right.
So if it's not a union plant, you don't get that $5,000. How that makes a difference if you're trying to increase EVs, how that makes a difference in how many are going to buy, whether or not a union guy makes it or not, it's still an EV that you're putting on the road.
Yeah,
But you're
and
just
I
taking the
think
credits and the incentives away.
I think the Ford Lightning may qualify too. So I have a couple concerns with the way the EV tax structure is set up right now, as proposed. First, I think it's so generous that it's unlikely to pass. If it were to pass, I think it would grossly exceed the allocated funds. And I don't think it's going to do much to increase EV production or adoption. I think the manufacturers would end up just increasing their prices to match. Show me an EV builder today who is not supply constrained.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not that people don't want to buy them right now. It's that they're just not out there to buy. Everyone that Tesla makes is already sold.
Right.
The Mach-E's are going. The Lightnings, their pre-orders of whatever they're
160,000 last I heard.
160,000. So they really just gave all those people a lot of money off when they've already ordered it, though the incentive was to get people to order them. Now, the Ford Lightning, when you max out a Ford Lightning, you will go over the limit, which is $80,000.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
So some of those Lightnings will not go. Now the $80,000, which is the cap right now, is also good for Tesla with the Cybertrucks, because they were listed at $70,000 for the tri-motor. Mm-hmm. So now that the tri-motor will fit, and now you could probably get your white seats and maybe some different rims and still qualify, keeping you under the $80,000, assuming that the price doesn't go up before they're actually start producing them, because those prices are not locked in.
Another unique advantage that the Cybertruck has is that FSD can be bought after the fact. A lot of your upgrades, I'm assuming there will be a performance boost or other over-the-air updates that can be sold after the fact, which is so far a unique advantage for Tesla that is not shared by other makers.
Yeah, and that is a fantastic point, because that's $10,000. If you got a tri-motor and you add in FSD and one other well, you're going to be at 80. You're going to be $1 under, or $5 under. So if you add in one other thing, you're going to go over the $80,000 limit.
Right.
So.
But does an $80,000 Cybertruck buyer really need a big incentive?
Yeah. Well, no. It needs to be fair. If you're just buying white seats and it costs you an extra $7,500, that's not right.
Right. Yeah. So let's look at some of the comments here. Mitridate says UAW equals Democratic donations. I would love to disagree, but if you look at the history of their donations, they are overwhelmingly blue, and that's undeniable. That's undeniable. Yeah. Mitridate also says Chevy Bolt is a hot car. Yeah.
It's on fire. It's so hot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even know, are they still selling them with the fact that you have to park it 75 feet from your house?
I don't think so. I think the production entirely has been suspended until they get that sorted out. But, it was only something like 8 cars that caught fire. It's just that we don't know how many more will, and we don't know which ones. Yeah,
and it's a big problem because people park their cars in a garage.
Yeah.
And like my garage is in my house, and if my car catches on fire, it's going to burn my house down.
Right.
And if I'm drunk or just sleeping or passed out drunk sleeping, I could easily die.
Right.
Uh,
Right. Yeah. And Mark
so
said, buy FSD later. Yeah, buy all that stuff. In the case of the Model 3, does yours have the optional rear heated seats that you can activate later? I'm sorry, the Model Y? Do you know about
they're
that?
already active. I have them.
Oh, okay. Well, if you
Yeah.
didn't, you could buy them today. And they would
Oh,
activate them over the air.
do they
Because,
charge you for that?
yeah, of course. But it's cheaper for them to just have one build and assume
Yeah.
that the take rate is going to be sufficient to justify the entire line.
What do they charge for it?
I don't know,
Do you know?
350 maybe? I don't remember.
If I have them take it off, can I get 350 back?
You can ask, but I know what the answer is.
Yeah. So, also in regards to this tax credit, when I bought my Model Y, I think it was around 50. And if you look at the basic Model Y right now on the long range, it's 57. So that $7,000 has already been pulled back by
Yeah.
Tesla.
JD
And this
had,
is just March.
JD had a good point. What about the FSD locked in price? If I cancel it, would I have to pay full price at delivery? Because a lot of people locked in at, I think it was 8,000, 7,000, 8,000 when they locked in. I think you would absolutely lose that. But if you're gaining 7, 8,000 in rebate, it's still a net win.
Yeah.
JD said,
But
Paul said the credit should be 5 to 8,000. 12,000 is too much.
I think it's too much, yes, but that's what they did. Now, this bill still has to go through the Senate, and
Sure.
the Senate can make changes in it.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
they can adjust, they can pick things out or add things in. They can make it worse, they can make it better. But yeah, there's still going to be some changes in this. It's
Sure.
only passed the House, and I'm sure whatever the Senate puts out, Joe Biden's going to sign.
Yeah.
He's not going to take it off.
Yeah. So, should we talk about Rivian?
We can, but before we do, I just got a quick comment from
Yeah.
JKM. Do you believe CEO GM of GM when she says General Motors can absolutely catch Tesla in U.S. sales of electric vehicles by 2025? I'm going to answer that and say absolutely not. There is no way. If their sales in 2025 won't catch Tesla for 2020.
There's a catch to that. What we didn't realize is Mary Barra apparently was including hybrids.
Well, then she's full of it.
Yeah.
You know what? I want to talk one day about plug-in hybrids and how they're nonsense. I don't understand. Volvo is. I got a thing on Volvo. I could just whine about plug-in hybrids if we get to that, but we probably got to move on a little bit
Sure.
so that we don't fall behind.
Ready to talk about Rivian?
Let's talk about Rivian.
So Rivian updated their website to include sales information on fleet vans.
Go ahead, Brian.
Oh,
I do got something to say. I'm just blown away by this because it doesn't make sense to me. But you go ahead.
Why?
I know you're on a roll.
So Rivian has a standing order with Amazon has a standing order with Rivian for 100,000 delivery vans. Yeah, that's a lot. And they're now saying, listen, these are going to happen. Learn more, check it out. So the big question a lot of people come up with is where the battery's coming from, which is a fair question, and will they be able to get enough batteries? And the answer to me is absolutely, because the average delivery truck, 12,435 miles a year. Because it's not like the pizza guy who's got to run back and forth all over town. Mostly you go from the depot to a neighborhood, unload and go back. So we're talking the average in the U.S. is 46 miles a day. So 70, 80 miles of range would handle over half, probably 70% of all use cases for delivery trucks.
Well, that will work, and I'll tell you what I do know is that these Rivian trucks are only going to be 150 miles. That's their range.
Which I believe is entirely adequate for anything apart from inner city.
Absolutely. 150 is what is adequate, very adequate. They don't need big battery packs. But what I'm confused on is that going back to the Electrify Your Fleet Rivian page that they have here, and there is a button on the bottom. There's learn more, and then there's this spinning wheel that I got. And when I go to place a fleet, how do I place a fleet order? None of this works. And I don't think it's going to work for a while because Amazon has a contract with Rivian that they're exclusive. So I'm not sure how, they're exclusive for 2 years, and they have to get a certain amount of trucks before any truck could be delivered to anybody else.
Oh, wow.
And that's right there on the interweb. And it says Amazon has a contract with them. That's part of their deal. So how are they going to start delivering vehicles to other people when first of all, they have to get 10 or 20,000 next year to Amazon? Does that mean that anything over that they'll sell to someone else? I don't know. But that's part of their deal. That's why I'm confused. That's why my head's going, I got to interrupt Brian and say my piece.
Yeah.
So, peace.
That, that is a good question because it's not just a contract. Amazon is has a significant stake in the company.
20%.
Ooh.
20%. Speaking of that, maybe that's a good leadway into our not Lucid, but Rivian IPO. But I want to compare it to Lucid. Rivian IPO is supposedly tomorrow. And we're going $72 to $74 a share. Now, I got a SoFi account, so I was linked up with them. And when it first was announced, it was $57 to $62. So they're going for an evaluation that is going to be equal to Lucid, which I'm a little iffy on the Lucid evaluation, and the stock's been going up. But Lucid right now, let's take a look.
I'm seeing 74 billion on the market cap.
My latest update says 72.48 billion is what we're looking at here. Okay. Rivian's going to be about the same. And you know what? Rivian's delivered more vehicles than Lucid. More than likely. They delivered over 100 in October. And Lucid, we only know of 10. I'm sure there was a couple more. And they are getting cars out. We are seeing them in the parking lot. But I think Rivian's going to have more cars out, or more trucks. And I don't mean the vans, the R1Ts. They'll have more of those out than Lucid will have of the Dream Air Edition. But their evaluation is $72 billion. So is that fair that Rivian should come in at about the same amount?
Well, this article is saying, the one on Investor Business Daily, GM has a market cap of $85 billion.
Yeah. Well, you know what? One of the differences that you got to look at between Lucid, Rivian, Tesla, and their market caps are so much higher than these companies that have been around for 120 years, is that they don't have $120 billion in debt.
Right.
And
right.
And that, to me, that devalues the company. You
would think.
Because if they wanted to go private and sell it to one investor for $40 billion, he also is incurring $110 billion worth of debt.
To me, the valuations make sense because these EV companies, even the ones that are on a bit of shaky ground, are the future, where GM is very much saddled to the past, and their ability to survive is in their hands, but so far they're making very slow moves to make very difficult decisions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I had a comment here from JKM. Oh, also Rob Romack. I think it helps if I watch both streams. Yeah, I do.
Howdy, Rob.
Go ahead and do that. Yeah. JKM said Lucid's way overvalued, and Tesla didn't even touch that till almost a decade. And there's a reason for that. I I don't think people saw the value of Tesla in until almost a decade. And once they start realizing that Tesla is more than just a car company, they're also supplying energy and other things, and that they are the future. Where you look at the old ICE vehicle manufacturers, they are not the future.
Right.
So now you look at Lucid and you look at Rivian going into production. You go, well, these guys are the future, and they're going to start producing cars. This is what we feel they're going to be worth. Maybe not right now, because putting out 100 cars in a month is not anything to write home about. But once they ramp up and they get to full production, that's the expectation that they will get there. I don't think that once they get up to full capabilities and they're producing 300,000. Well, right now we're looking at like 20,000 cars for Lucid, but Rivian's going to be more. I don't think that the shares should double or triple because of that. It needs to progress to where they're producing 500,000 cars a year.
Well, so Greg commented, to be fair, when Tesla IPO'd, electric cars were just a twinkle in Elon's eye. Now they have a whole different level of credibility. And that's true.
And that's what I was getting at.
The market has been developed. The market didn't exist. It's like people, would you have had the foresight to buy Starbucks stock when it was a small regional chain, not realizing that this huge cafe chain market was about to exist?
Yeah. And Dutch Bros.
Yeah.
We like Dutch Bros over here.
Oh yeah, they're here too.
Yeah, but they're nowhere on the East Coast, I heard, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this or not, but they have 500 leases already signed to head out to the East Coast. And that's part of their IPO is to expand, and they're going to go hit the East Coast, and already 500 leases are signed. There's probably more since I heard that information, but that was from somebody who worked there.
Wow. Do we have anything else to say about Rivian, or do we need to move on to my favorite story of the week? Crate
Your favorite
Motors.
story?
Crate Motors.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh yeah, by the way, before we get there, if there's anybody here who is going to be purchasing Rivian, let us know in the comments. It's the IPO is supposedly tomorrow, but we want to hear if anyone here is buying some.
Yeah. And boy, these are definitely exciting times. I was going to say on Rivian, as of today, I definitely have significantly more confidence in Rivian than Lucid. But that's because Lucid is such a black box, and if I can't see inside it, I don't know what's there. And the way they behave is so super sketchy. I know, the B-roll all us YouTubers use for Tesla? You know where this comes from? It comes from Tesla's channel, and they let us use it. Dylan from Electrified was...
Oh, he got flagged.
Yeah, he got flagged because Lucid will DMCA your content. Do not. This is our video. It's like, oh, guys, what are you doing? And then the shenanigans they pulled with you is...
Yeah. I'm going to tell you one thing about Lucid that makes me think that they're not going to fail. Saudi Arabia backs them.
Yeah.
Let's whisper this. Saudi Arabia kills people that don't do what they're supposed to do.
Oh.
And they kill people in the press. And I'm not saying that the government did it, but one of the princes did it and was convicted of it.
That's the government.
So if me personally, I was going to take money from Saudi Arabia and they're telling me, you're going to build this and you're going to do this. I'm like, if I don't do this and I piss away their $4 billion, is something going to happen to me? There's always that fear.
That is a motivator. Especially if you're pulling shenanigans. Mm-hmm. So let's get on to the...
You don't want to pull a Trevor on that because they'll take you out.
Yeah. Ford Illuminator e-crate motor sells out in days. Demand wildly exceeded expectations, and now we'll need to hang tight if we want to buy one. Already got a comment on this. Didn't see them mention crate battery packs. Nope, that's the problem. I'm excited about the crate motor for sure, but without the battery, if you've got to come up with your own battery solution and then the software to integrate it, because where am I supposed to get a battery? Am I supposed to get it from a salvaged Mach-E or?
That's what you do. That's.
But there aren't
Where
any
else
yet.
are you going to get it?
Yeah. Or pull it out of a Leaf and have the world's slowest Ford, electric Ford.
Rich from Rich Rebuild, he's taken the battery packs out of salvaged Teslas before.
Yeah.
He's very good at it. But I'm sure there's probably a destroyed Mach-E already. But
yeah, but there's not enough.
No, not enough. And to buy a car that is salvaged but has a battery pack intact means you're still going to be paying like $40,000 for this car.
Right.
Because of the value of the battery pack, and if the motors are still good, simple rollover and your motors are still good, your battery pack's still good, it's still worth a lot of money for parts.
Sure.
But you're not going to get anything like that cheap. And I love the fact that this motor was only $3,900. That's great.
Yeah.
But you can't do anything with it.
No.
And that's sad, because I would love to do something like that.
Sure.
I would go find myself an F100 and stick that motor in there, and then I'd be like, now what?
So
we'll plug it into the wall.
Question for everyone in the chat, and both chats, really, because for those who don't know, this is simulcast on my channel and Bear's channel. How cool is that? Bear's Workshop. My Tesla Weekend, welcome. Is what would you want to put? What would you want to electrify? What would you build if you could get not just the crate motor, but the crate battery, or for that matter, a whole skateboard? There are a lot of companies that have said, we're going to be the skateboard guys. We're going to provide the motor battery solution. You just bring a frame to slap on top. And where are they? They haven't, I guess they have even found that it's more difficult.
Yeah.
So what would you build, Bear? You've got time and you've got money. Let's say you could just build it.
69 Camaro.
Wow.
Not even a question. That was my first car, and I probably bought 5 more and destroyed them for parts.
Wow.
My first one, and then my second one that I built. I probably killed about 5 of those cars just for parts. But yeah, it would go in a 69 Camaro, rear wheel. Oh hell yeah, I do the all wheel drive. And
oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be
RS. What would you do?
Batmobile. I don't know. I think I would do something that doesn't exist yet. Obviously a Cobra would be fun, but those are head turners even with no motor.
Yeah. Well, anything you'd put in would be something that hasn't been done.
Yeah.
Keep in mind.
So the comments I'm seeing, VW bus, that would be wonderful. I'm disappointed VW appears to have canceled their new microbus option. A Pinto from Paul. 76 Chevelle from Rob. Good choice, Rob. 76 Chevelle.
Wait, 76?
Yeah. You know,
four-door?
I'm not picturing it off the top of my head, but
yeah,
1956
I'm thinking
Chevy.
like 67.
I actually technically own a 55 Bel Air, but
Do you?
but it's at my brother's house and it's in a state of disrepair. 79
a 55
Vet.
Bel Air?
Yeah. Oh, it's beautiful.
Oh, I want to buy your car.
Oh yeah, it's for sale. Mystery Machine Photo Gib. I think that's a winner. MD Hofsty asked how many 1870s are in a Tesla. Do you mean, if you mean the 18650s, it's about 5,000? And if you mean the 2170s, it's more like 35 or 3,800. It's a
something
lot.
like that.
One guy did say, just get the battery from a Bolt. Ooh. I also like to live dangerously.
I've got an LG battery in my house that's probably I could use, but I won't. We got Mopar Dan says 64 Barracuda. be the first EV under glass, similar to the Hemi under glass. And Daniel de Blasio says Dodge Viper, which would actually make them faster.
Yes. Yeah, the 99 did 0 to 60 in 4.9 seconds.
That is slower than my Model Y longer range.
Yeah. Yep. But it was, at the time, 490 horsepower, 525 pounds of torque. That was a beast, baby.
Yeah, back then it was, but...
So what's holding us up even worse than batteries, Bear?
Chips.
BMW removes touchscreen from a bunch of models due to chip shortage. That is
my word is pathetic. What's your word?
Self-immolation. They're setting themselves on fire because they already can't keep pace with Tesla's sales in the same category, in the same market segment. And now you're going to start stripping out features that were barely adequate to begin with. They're just not nimble enough. I can't imagine buying a new car, especially a BMW, without a touchscreen in this day and age. Right?
I would. And then what was the offer? $500? A $500 credit? Is that what? That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And the real problem is, if the car had been designed to not have a touchscreen, it would be different. But this was designed and then stepped back, so you're going to lose functionality that was intended to be there.
So are they leaving the system in there and just selling the cars without it, or are they actually redesigning the whole dash and removing all those components?
Well, I think they're just putting in a screen that's not a touchscreen. And it would not surprise me if the BMW had redundant tactile and touchscreen, so they're just killing the half of it.
Yeah, but you do lose some functionality. The article says that the backup assistant is going to go away, and the parking assist is also going to go away. So you are losing features.
That's not how you grow your brand. But fortunately, it only affects the 3 Series, the 4 Series, the X5, X6, X7, and Z4. So, all the cars.
Yeah, what's left? Are they? When they say X, are they saying that that includes the M Series?
Well, when it says, I assume when it says 3 Series and 4 Series, that's, it's...
Well, their M Series are their fast cars.
Right.
They're sports cars.
Yeah, but like an M3 or M4. But maybe this excludes the 5 Series? I don't know. But in any case, this is... The benefit of Tesla bringing all their software in-house is becoming apparent. And to the credit of all the other new guys, they are doing the same. So, as far as I understand, Rivian, Nikola, Lucid, all those guys have their own developed software in-house. Maybe not Nikola, but if not, they will. Their intention is to.
I believe that they do. If they don't have anyone, they're looking for someone to do that, to do the programming. And
Paul says on the BMW, they should just paint the screen with chalkboard paint to make it useful. That's good.
That's a good idea.
You could draw on it. Yeah, you could draw on it. Yeah. MD Hofstee was trying to calculate what the batteries would cost. $1,700 for 100 of the 1870s. The real problem becomes quality control, because if they're not balanced, which most batteries are not, you're going to set your world on fire. And batteries, Rich Rebuilds had, he took a part of a pack from a Model S and was building a little amusement park Model T go-kart kind of thing into a racer, and it almost broke the shop down.
Yeah, I could see that happening.
Battery management is difficult and dangerous.
It is. I've seen people do it because for solar stuff and managing large blocks backup power and going through it and making sure that you've got each battery cell is equivalent to the one that it needs to match up to. And it takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of time.
Right.
And I was like, oh, maybe I want to do that for my solar and get some real battery backup and not the BS that I have from LG. But, I got scared away at the price. I kind of ran
Sure.
one of those things.
Sure. Shall we talk about Volvo?
We shall. I want to give a shout out to Mopar Dan for his super chat. We appreciate that.
Sweet.
Thank you very much.
Very cool. Very cool, Dan. Oh, Volvo. Electrified models make up over 25% of Volvo sales, rapidly electrifying its lineup. And there you go.
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. I kind of put this on here not because I like Volvos or because nobody really does, apparently. Their yearly sales are like 700,000. And Volvo's been around for quite a long time. And so they made this pledge to get to 100% all EVs by 2030, which I think they can do because they don't make a lot of cars. It's not like they got to change a lot of things. So right now they're saying 25% of their sales are electric. You got to do little quote things, electric, because as you get further down into this article, it's battery full electric vehicles are 3.1%. So you're not really 25% in there, including hybrids and plug-in vehicles. So I wanted to talk about plug-in hybrids for a moment because I think they're stupid. I think you got a company like Volvo who's trying to transition to electric. How much money does it take and how much time, how much R&D does it take to make a plug-in a hybrid car? Because you still have to have a motor. You have to redesign an entire car for a motor, for the battery, for the electric motors. Why not just skip that step? And is it because you're afraid your customers don't want to go electric, so you're kind of like trying to
Hedge?
transition? Yeah, or either hedge or just trying to just like push them a little bit. Like, okay, well, this one's not fully electric. You still have an ICE motor in there. It'll be okay. I just think it's a lot of money of R&D to make plug-in hybrids, and I just scratch my head on that. If you're going to do it, why? You get these companies go, we're going to invest $7.2 billion to do this, and $1 billion is for plug-in hybrids. Skip this step. You can jump that step and not spend all the money. You're only talking about 700,000 cars a year. Tesla's already bigger than them.
Right.
Tesla's bigger than a lot of car companies that people don't realize that have been around for 50 or, well, I can't say 50 because most car companies have been around over 100 years. Anything that's 50 years, they killed them.
Sure.
Isn't there something about any car company that was created after a certain date did not succeed except for Tesla?
The last IPO was Ford in 1959, I think, 60, maybe somewhere around. I think it was 59. That was the last IPO, and they were already a very old company.
Yes.
And everybody else is gone, or
Gone.
yeah. And it doesn't matter if you put in $1 billion or $2 billion or $3 billion. You can look at companies like Faraday Future that sunk in about $2 billion and produced nothing. You can look at Dyson, who put in $500 million before throwing up his hands and saying this isn't going to work. And
Yeah.
a couple of years ago, last time the Wikipedia page was updated for most largest car manufacturers, you needed to sell 2 million a year to break into the top 20. Now that list hasn't been updated because I don't know, the power editors over at Wikipedia aren't following that topic, but Tesla's jumping up the rankings faster, in part because they're growing 50% year over year, but in part because the other guys are faltering so badly.
Yeah. There's been a huge decrease in ICE vehicles over the last couple of years. It's not all COVID, because if it was COVID, then Tesla would be down too. They're just not making things that people want when they see that. Everyone who looks at my Tesla says they want it. I was at a charging station in Gila Bend, Arizona over the weekend, and I had a guy come up to me, and he was in a Tacoma, and he was just like, "Hey, can I ask you a couple questions?" And did the whole chitty chat thing and told him what I could tell him, and he's ordering a Model 3 Performance, and he was just excited about it, and he just had a couple questions. But people, if I was sitting there in an F-150, nobody would come up to me and go, "Hey, can I talk to you about your car?"
Right.
I don't care.
Right.
I mean, there's F-150s are still good trucks. I got an F-250 sitting probably 50 feet from me. They do what they need to do. But the electric cars are more exciting to people, and if people have an option to really get one, they're going to look at it.
So a
But
comment.
Volvo.
Oh, go ahead.
All right. My last thing on Volvo is they're a car company that makes good cars. They're reliable and they last 20 years. Why don't you do something to make them exciting?
Right.
There's nothing exciting about Volvo.
Yeah, but they've never been about excitement. They're more exciting now than they used to be, I would argue, but I don't know if that's going to help them. So I got a comment from Digital Bladeka who said, the biggest hurdle at this point for any non-Teslas are the EV charging infrastructure. My sister in Quebec bought the Kia Soul, but had to swap it for a hybrid. So I can't speak to Canada, but the charging network is going to expand over the next 5 years in the US thanks to the infrastructure bill that just passed and has been signed that will improve that. And Tesla's supercharger network is being open to the public. So hopefully this addresses a lot of those concerns, both imaginary and practical. So we will see. Yeah, if you can't do a road trip, what's the point of having a car? A lot of people don't do road trips, but a lot of people also have two cars. There's their everyday car and then their getting out of town car. Electric cars are more enhanced. They are quiet. They go very fast. Yeah. Volvo, MD Hofsty said, Volvo is all about safety. They're not about flash. They're about safety. And boy, I tell you, if Volvo made real electric cars like the 3% they're doing, if they focused on that, they could once again be at the very tippy top of the safety board. But here we are.
Yeah, and who's at the top of the safety board right now? Isn't Tesla at the top?
It is.
Don't they have the safest cars?
It is, but only all of their models.
Only what? All of their models? Only all of them.
Yeah.
The Cybertruck's not on there.
It doesn't exist. So
but that's why.
It's a problem. It is a problem. It is a frustration. So let's cover anything you need to cover in chat real quick because
I got a couple things. Where was it? Daniel had asked about Electra Meccanica and where they're at as far as any news. I haven't heard much news on that. I have driven past the site probably about 5 times. All the walls are up. They're starting a little bit on the facade. They're getting the roof structure up. It's not sealed up yet, but that's where they're going to supposedly make 20,000 solos. JKM said that he sat in a solo at the ACT Expo. JKM, if you're still here, I think you are, could you let me know if someone who was 6'4" could fit into a solo? I wanted to drive one, and they reached out to me after I reached out to them and said, "Hey, we heard you want to take a test drive," and then said, "Yeah, I'd love to do a video on it." And then I never heard back from them. So I don't know. I want to know if I'm going to fit in this car in the Solo, the 6'4", because I will buy one and I'll put it into like a rental service. I'll put it up on Turo and see if I can make any money on that.
And I would also be curious if someone who is 3'11" could also fit. Just kidding.
Let's see. From Mopar Dan, what are we doing in the USA to enhance the electrical grid to support this forward-looking scale-up of charging stations? Not many talking about the elephant in the room. A concern? No. I think they're taking care of it. I see here in Arizona, because I'm in Arizona, sunny state, I see a lot of solar going up in a lot of different places. But there's other places in the country that have a lot of restrictions on renewable energy. So
I think
they've got to get past that.
What he might be referring to is this week's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver covered exactly this topic. And for anyone watching who hasn't seen it, it's a good one. And it turns out it's 6 times easier to build an oil pipeline than it is to build a new high voltage transmission line in terms of who you need to get approval from and the time it takes to actually do it. So in terms of shuttling power from the middle of the country, where it's easier to generate, out to the coast where it's necessary and space is more limited. So I think the answer to that is, like Bear was saying, more local wind and solar. More, that doesn't require 800 miles of transmission, but can do 300 or 400 miles. Instead, those power lines exist and have more capacity. But we definitely are going to need to update and improve and enhance the high voltage grid.
Yeah, well, the real solution to that, long term, is going to be batteries, and
Absolutely.
that's where Tesla's going to come in, and they're going to be putting megapacks everywhere, and they're going to be gigapacks eventually to power cities. They're not going to have to run on these power lines, which are very ineffective when it comes down to it. They lose power the longer they travel. They do. I don't remember whether they lose voltage or what, but I know that when you transmit the power over long distances, you lose some. But they're more susceptible to high winds, damage. You got to get crews out there on a helicopter, fixing lines, updating lines. Lines get old. They're going to need to be replaced. But the closer you have a place to store the energy, the less of these electric lines, and the infrastructure is going to work out better because it's not as spread out, and also being relying on other places for your power.
Sure. So I've done quite a bit of research into the high voltage transmission, and it's not as bad as you think. 1,000 miles is only something like 3% loss. So that's not, and you can transmit it further. So when people say, oh, well, the sun isn't always shining, the wind isn't always blowing, the wind is always blowing somewhere, and somewhere within 1,000 miles. And there are other ways to balance the grid, but let's see. Digital Bladeka said, apparently Lucid Dream is also not good for tall people. At 6'2", they could barely fit in the driver's seat, and the visor was in the way.
I've sat in a Lucid Dream.
Was it fine?
The visor was a little bit in my way. I never got it into a driving position because it was just a floor model.
Right.
But I thought the car was going to be bigger. So I know sitting in a car for me is always an issue. So I'm always expecting that. The roof was okay. It wasn't great. I think I have more room in my Model Y as far as headspace goes. But the footroom was also adequate in the Lucid. But the visor was a little bit low because it's attached to the glass.
Oh, right.
And it just kind of comes down. And I didn't play with the seats because I couldn't figure it out. I didn't take the training class because there was a lot of bugs. You can get into what would be a good, comfortable position.
So I think we need to hustle on to just mention Pepsi very briefly and then get on to the big story of the day. So the
Pepsi was a funny little article where the CEO of Pepsi thinks that he's getting his some of his semis delivered before the end of the year. And holy crap, it's November. And it's already been said by Elon or Tesla themselves that these semis are on hold until 2023. So I'm not sure where he's getting them from. Or maybe these are going to be some prototypes. But he had a little video saying that he's getting them.
It was in
pretty
an
exciting.
Yeah. The leading
pretty
theory
exciting
I've heard
if they show up.
is that he's just mistaken, and that maybe that was old information and he hadn't heard the latest. Not a big deal. If it happens, it happens, but not something I would put any stock in today.
Yeah, I just the CEO of a large company should, I don't know, kind of know what they're talking about. Otherwise, they end up,
Yeah.
Trevor.
Well,
I always go back to Trevor.
But it's Pepsi, and it's not like it's a growth company. It's just a very simple blue chip, and I don't know. I think you could replace him with AI, and the company would run just fine. And you should, and they would work cheaper. But yeah. So, elephant in the room. Before we get to the elephant in the room, a reminder: this is simulcast on Bear's Workshop and My Tesla Weekend. What a crazy idea. And Bear's a cool dude, so check him out. I don't know.
And
Maybe
Brian,
subscribe.
Brian is the man. I would go over there, give him a sub, give his video a like, but always come back, of course, and watch my channel, please. But Brian does great videos on Tesla, breaks down the construction and the construction progress. And hey, I fly over and we look at the construction progress. So Brian and I kind of hooked up that way and started talking. And now here we are, several months later, doing a simulcast, and we're going to be doing this again next Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And we're going to have new topics. We will talk about Nikola and Lucid because that's where a lot of my viewers are coming from. If there's something to really talk about, if I don't want to just talk about them just because got to say something for you guys. But we're going to talk about a lot of different EV stuff. That's the general idea of this fast charging with B&B, is to talk about a variety of topics and get a variety of viewers, people who got some different opinions. Maybe some people that hate Nikola, maybe some people that hate Lucid, and then you guys can fight it out in the chat. Brian's going to get the Tesla haters in his chat and say how they're going bankrupt tomorrow, which, obviously. So please, take a look at Brian's channel at My Tesla Weekend. If you're watching on My Tesla Weekend, take a look at my channel at Bear's Workshop.
So let's take a look at the big story of the day. This weekend, don't know if you guys heard, Twitter poll, Elon facing a $15 billion tax bill. It's likely the real reason he's going to sell some stock. So he's getting all the hate in the world he made cajillions and only paid 3% tax if you include unrealized gains as income, which you can't, because if he tried to sell all of his shares, the value would plummet and you would only get a fraction of it. It's ridiculous. But he is considering.
And then you'd pay taxes on that, so it still wouldn't be 3%.
Right. And so he is considering, and I assume he will sell 10% of his shares of Tesla, which will incur about a $15 billion tax bill. Now, the reason it's so high, they say, well, CEOs, he's paid with stock options. Those are long-term capital gains. They're taxed at a lower rate. This isn't long-term capital gains. This is a stock grant. It is taxed as ordinary income, which is why the rate is so high, 53%, when you include California's state tax. And $15 billion, pardon me, I mentioned this on Twitter, is surely the largest single-year tax bill any human has ever had, and it's still not good enough.
I think he's going to have a kind of a little bit of a hard time finding a loophole, like deducting his mortgage interest. I don't think that, well, you never know. There could be something in there. But no, he's going to pay a large bill, and that's the way it rolls here. But unfortunately for him, starting off in California actually cost him probably
billions
8% of that. Yeah, it was probably about 8% because I thought that the California share of that was around 18%. And if he had started off in a state with no local or no state income tax, it would have been really good. But even other states still would have been like 6-7%. So it just depends. In California, I believe it is none. Actually, I'm not sure about that. I thought I saw something about Texas was less, maybe not none. But yeah, just being in California cost him, I don't know how much money, but we're going to say 10% of that. Maybe 1.5 billion of that $15 billion is going to California to clean up the poop.
Hockey Day just pointed out this tax bill alone will be more than NASA's budget.
Is their budget? I thought their budget was higher than that. Not much more.
I don't know. Well, it's certainly, if you're including the California part, maybe. If you take that out, maybe not. But still, that is astronomical. MD Hofty says, I think it was sold today, given the volume being nearly twice normal. I don't know if he's allowed to sell it with such short notice. CEOs, no. I believe it's something you have to declare in advance so that you're not able to manipulate. You can't just crash it on purpose. Because for that matter, I mean, he could take out a short position on his own stock.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Sell it, and make more money on the short position than he did on that. But I don't know that for sure. The rules are complicated and different. By the way, Bear, Mark did say liked and subscribed on Bear's page.
Thank you. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate that. I believe that Elon Musk is going to spread this sale out. I believe there was something written about that, and that only makes sense. It's problematic for the company, for the stock, for investors to see something get dumped like that. Thank you, Mark. Mark just also hopped in here and gave me a $5 super chat.
Nice.
Appreciate that.
So the thing, though, is in terms of people saying, well, this is going to crash the stock price, he only owns about 24% of the company, I think, and 10% of that would be 2.5%. It's only 2.5%. It's still not that much. And if it is spread out, I don't think it's going to be a big issue. Although when they did the $5 billion capital raises, we all believed that they would be spread out, and they weren't. They dumped them all on individual days, and it didn't really hit the price. It was breathtaking. Because everybody would see, oh, look, it went down 10 cents. I'm buying.
I got a couple of chats here real quick because we're running out of time. JKM said he got into one of the Electra Meccanica solos, and he's 6 feet, and I had to get in the fetal position to get in.
Darn.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else here? Tyler is getting a pet moose, which is interesting, but I don't think that's going to affect the EV market. Elon is amazing, smartest guy on the planet Earth. Am I allowed to love Elon and Nikola? Yes, Tyler,
Absolutely.
You are.
Oh, sure.
And where was that one comment that?
By the way, Hockey Day updated to say NASA's budget is $22.6 billion. So this tax bill would only cover them for 9 months of operation. But there will come a time in the next few years when Elon will have paid more in taxes than SpaceX has received for delivering cargo to space from NASA. And that might even be this year.
They're going to take his money and then pay him, or pay SpaceX.
They're hiring a company to deliver a good or service, and they only hire SpaceX because it's cheaper and or better. That's something we should talk about in the future too, because I love me some space stuff.
Yeah. Hey, what do you think about the fact that the cold hard fact, and I'm reading you a chat, the cold hard fact that is Nikola is going to deliver trucks before Tesla?
Great. I mean, that's Tesla's problem, and that's Nikola's advantage. I mean, Nikola has to deliver trucks. It's time they have to. Tesla will be just fine with or without it. Obviously, I'd prefer everything to be in production already with the next thing announced, but battery constraints are no joke. And Tesla doesn't want to do a limited rollout. They want to go hog wild. As soon as they enter production, they want to enter it big. Paul Crowdis also said, LOL pet moose.
Yeah, there was something about somebody went to the store with their pet moose and they were late to the chat because of that.
Happens, man. And who among us?
Digital Blade, thank you for the super chat, $5. We appreciate that.
Digital Blade, California. I've been saying Digital Bladeca. My apologies.
I think that's Digital Blade Canada.
Canada. Well, I mean, that's still, either one is way closer than I got.
You pronounce that out?
Yeah, I thought it was some word I didn't know.
Oh. Okay. It looked like a word scramble at first, but I got it. And he also said he wants to grow his beard longer than mine one day. So I'm working. I'm going to get it straightened so that it goes down like to my belly.
Canada.
I'll look thinner that way.
Canada's the answer.
Canada, yeah.
So if anybody wants to get in a chat, we're going to be signing off here in the next couple minutes, trying to keep this tight at an hour. And soon we will have this available as an actual podcast on all your favorite podcast players. Not today, I don't think. Not today.
Not today. It's coming.
Yeah. So I do want to say a big thank you to everyone who was able to join us. This is, a lot more fun than doing it just by myself. Bear has a live stream he does every Monday on his own. I have one every Friday I do on my own. Subscribe to both channels because they're both just amazing. And thank you to everyone who dropped a super chat. And
Yeah, okay, I'm up. Yeah, also, I'm going to say the same exact thing. Verbatim. Thanks for being here. We are going to be here again next Tuesday. New topics, new things to talk about, and we will share our thoughts with you, whether they're right or wrong. We don't know. We don't care. We're just here to chit-chat and give out fake information. We're fake news. We're not fake news. We're going to give you the real deal. Speaking of which, Sam Alexander had a video. What was that on? He was exposing there was in regards to fake news in Tesla, there was another an article was put out that the most popular searched vehicle in the United States for last year or this year was the Mustang. That was the most popular EV search vehicle. And Sam Alexander did a video today where he just tore that apart.
right.
A lot of fake news.
Right.
We will not bring you stuff like that.
And it wasn't even close.
That's fact checked.
Yeah, it
No.
wasn't even close. It
No.
was. I saw that when it was still on Twitter, and I was like, huh, well, that's interesting, but not really meaningful. And then instantly I saw someone else debunking it, and it was like, why, guys, why? And the answer is them clickies.
Yeah, yeah. It's to get clicks, and Ford, the Ford CEO retweeted, or the guy in charge of something, probably the toilets, but he retweeted that like it's a fact, and it's embarrassing because it's not real. And I know that there's people out there who read this stuff and they believe this stuff just because they trust the internet and they go, oh yeah, this is right. We're only going to bring you good stuff.
Right.
We're going to give you fact check stuff and nothing that's obnoxious either. But you can enjoy the banter between Brian, who's the second B, and me, who's the first B.
Wait, what?
Did it cut out?
We're gonna have to look at that in the contract, see if that you'll be hearing from my agent. All right. Well, thanks, guys.
Your agent's your son.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, we will see you next week. Thank you so much for being here, and stay tuned, stay juicy, and see you guys on the flippity flop.
See you guys. Great to have you here.